Speaking of healthcare, what do we think about the potential fragmentation of the NHS deal and what's going on in the UK? Anyone have any thoughts or updates on this situation?
Yeah, I didn't particularly like it because it just proved that the NHS is willing to cave to political pressure, right? They could have just kept the deal all in one. Palantir would have just did exactly what they're doing right now, right? Palantir literally came up and said, "We will help you for free during the COVID pandemic," right? And then they got fought tooth and nail. And then they got taken to court. When they got extended, they got a $25 million 1 year contract for extension, then another one. And then they went for a much larger federated contract. And now the NHS is like, oh, you know what? We'll break it up because you know what? Maybe we don't want all the data privacy stuff to go to Palantir. So now literally you've created a vector where a third party can really mess up. And now it's almost like, oh, well, Palantir, is the reason why. No, there's so many, like the NHS is a very left heavy organization. Okay. It's very liberal. It's very like anti outsiders coming in. Like one of the biggest fears of the NHS, like providers, the NHS, is that we're gonna, as Americans, are gonna come and privatize their healthcare. They're literally like that's like one of their biggest fears. So to have an American company in and work with them is somewhat of a challenge. So now here's the thing. Now there's a lot of political pressure to get Palantir out. That's never a good thing for Palantir because politics is one of those things that if if you have some weak leaders and weak politicians come in, they'll literally rip out something that's super successful and say, oh, well, you know what? I have a base to support. So here's an example in New York City. New York City, I don't know if you guys know this, but the police, the NYPD, were using Palantir for like literally almost a decade, right? They were using it to great effect, everything else. Liberal politicians came in. They said, oh, well, Palantir works with, ICE and immigration and everything else. Guess what happened? They ripped Palantir out. They literally took Palantir out of it, even though Palantir was fully integrated into the NYPD. And right now, there's actually a big lawsuit with Palantir because their thing is, well, Palantir is not giving us the tools to migrate over to somebody else. Look at that. So politicians, I'm never a big fan of any.
So, Chris, you are in the same camp that we should separate the government and commercial business,
yeah,
correct?
Still, always. Yep.
Steven, what do you think about that?
I knew you were going to go there. I knew it.
It's what a moderator has to do.
Yeah. Look, Chris and I have not discussed this. We are on opposite ends of this, and I understand Chris's view because of what just happened and what has happened in the past. And due to things being political, unfortunately, it can negatively impact future deals. I will never dispute that. I think it's too early to spin off commercial and separate the two. Also, the company is just not big enough. And if we ever want to see this company really grow to its potential in the next several years, we need every dollar of revenue. We need every deal possible. We need to build everything out to where there is not a competitor that can replace them. And then the conversation about splitting out commercial can be had. But right now, it's not the right time, in my opinion.
Chris, do you have any response to that?
So there's a lot of tangible benefits to splitting. You don't also want to get so big that the split is going to be messy, right? Right now, they're small enough to the point where a split is easy to do. Right now, they break it off. In our group chat, I told you exactly what it is, right? The problem is right now, whatever this jumbled up organization is, they're not getting the valuation of a high performance defense contractor like Andrew, nor are they getting a SaaS-like valuation on the other end. Literally right now, you have to try to figure out what the hell, how to even value this company.
So right? let's have that conversation about how do we have to value something. I think you and I spoke about this, and I had said that I think all of us, myself included, evaluate companies incorrectly. And you can't evaluate company A differently than company B. And if a company like Apple is traded, I haven't looked at the numbers in the past week, but if they were trading at 20 times free cash flow plus the equity on their book. If they're trading at 20x free cash flow plus their equity, why should another company that has not proven themselves trade at 60 times free cash flow? That never made any sense to me, especially when you start looking at the amount numerically that Apple has grown its free cash flow over the past 3 years. It may not be 100% on a percentage basis, but it's $40-50 billion, which is crazy because these other companies that are valued at 60x will never get there to generate 50 billion in a year, let alone over 5 years. So I think the way that we look at valuing is incorrect. And there should be additional value for growth, but at some point that's got to stop. Like there has to be some cutoff point where that no longer impacts the valuation. So
if Chris wins this thesis though, like AWS is separate from Amazon, Prime is kind of
no, that would be the worst freaking thing that ever happened to Amazon. Stop. Don't even say that. Please.
No, but isn't that already the case that AWS is separate from Amazon?
Two different operating structures. Look at their look at their table.
AWS is the only thing keeping that company.
They are two different business altogether.
It's completely different business, but you don't want to spin that off into a separate company. That would be horrible. Right now, you look at their actual financials, their cash from operations has declined significantly. I don't have it in front of me.
But operational, if you look at their tree, it's two different things. Like right now, Palantir's like this jumbled up thing right now. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Completely two separate things under the same company, though. Not spun off into company A and company B. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to see commercial and business be two separate companies. But with AWS, you look at Q3, you look at Q2, they would be completely negative. They lose money on North American and they lose money on international business. AWS is the only thing that's creating contribution profit to them. Operating income.
I guess the question is, why can't you have Palantir parent company and then commercial and business, as if commercial was AWS theoretically and business was Prime?
If they're part of the same company, that's fine. Absolutely fine. I don't want to see it spun off into a completely separated entity.
See, at this point, it's just a distraction. The companies first need to figure out there are 100 more priorities for Palantir to sort it out in their basic. They're not even able to reach clients. Okay, now if you split your resources between two different things, the split doesn't make split makes sense like when Chris says in terms of branding and positioning. Yeah. But when you do the split, you need to put resources into it also. Okay, right now they are just juggling one way or other way to manage their resources and make the best out of it. When they are $10 billion revenue company, this is something. I mean, in the example of NHS, I mean, like when you deal with government, I mean, I mean, it's dirty sometime, and this is just the case. To me, I simply, if I'm sitting with Palantir guys, I will just say that cut your losses with NHS. If they are not, they are taking their hands away, you also do as minimum as possible with them. Okay, somebody can dump you that hard when you worked with them, when their backs were against the wall, and they do things like this. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be very supportive in if they don't want to do it. Yeah, we do the minimum also. This is how the business is. If you don't help, I mean, at the end of the day, it's for Palantir to decide what they do. But yeah, I think all the support and everything that is done on the top as a cherry, that should stop. Okay, if NHS wants to stay in a state of whatever they are, it's their choice. At the end of the day, I mean, what is happening in UK and their healthcare, it's no more a secret. The whole world knows about it. I was supposed to move to London last year. I didn't move there. Okay, so if they want to live like that, that's their choice. I mean, if whatever is happening on their left liberal wing and their attacks on data and all that, I mean, we just saw what happened on the liberals in US. I mean, the Twitter files has just came out. Okay, so yeah, you can project that other person is dirty, but I think the time will come and we'll see how dirty these people are also. So yeah, I think for NHS, they should cut their losses and spend their excess resources where they expect returns to come. And in future, they should be careful spending a very long credit line and efforts with people like this who cannot back you up when you need them.
What they need to do is keep their mouths shut when it comes to political affiliations. Like that's the biggest problem. Literally Palantir's problem started in 2016 when Peter Thiel came out with Donald Trump and said, "Hey guys, you know, Palantir and Donald Trump are best friends." And then after that, the liberals all went goddamn crazy. The key to operating successfully in any industry is maintaining that air of neutrality, right? Where you're not impartially on one side or the other. And I think that's the problem. The Palantir kind of aligned themselves. Well, Peter Thiel, and because Peter Thiel aligned himself with Trump, now literally it's anywhere Palantir goes right now, it's the same attack, same exact attack that you get. So how do you distance yourself from that? Peter Thiel is still on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is still involved operationally, right?
You cannot distance yourself. You just have to embrace it. Okay, there is no other way. I mean, if you ask me, like, would I advise Peter Thiel to go and endorse Trump? I would say, man, stay 100 feet away from him. Okay, I mean, he's not even a kind of leader I would endorse. Okay, but I mean, same way, like I wouldn't, but Biden endorse either. The thing is, what is happening now in Silicon Valley? But see, the fact I like about Palantir is they have taken a stand against Silicon Valley on things which Silicon Valley is wrong. See, big tech today is what big oil used to be. These are the mafias and bullies and they are telling everyone what to do. Okay, and and the Palantir said, we don't want to do that. Okay, so yes, there will be attack on them. Okay, but whatever has happened in the world for last 2, 3, 4 years, I think there is more awareness about different topics that everything what left is doing is not right, and everything what conservatives are doing is not wrong. Okay, I'm not talking about right here. I'm just talking about the conservatives and moderates. Okay, and if this discussion goes further, it's not easy to take it further. Okay, Palantir is sitting in a club that is unscathed by this. See what is happening in Twitter. I mean, now probably we'll see that Elon Musk as a CEO has already presented the evidence that yes, they were influencing. Okay,
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
The question now for everyone will come is that what else is going on in big tech? Okay, and now we also know. So thing is that it is very difficult for certain companies to stay away from controversy, and Palantir cannot stay away from controversy. They just have to embrace it. This is what we do. You like it, you like it. You don't like it, please go with someone whom you like. Okay, I think that's pretty much that. See, it is what is tomorrow. Like if Lockheed Martin, they are selling weapons. Okay, they can stop selling weapons when people will stop using weapons. Okay, so it's a very, I mean, different discussion. I don't mind what Palantir stand is. I don't mind their involvement in different controversy. Okay, when the fight is on, okay, yeah, you can lose a battle here and there. Who wins in the end is matter. I mean, see, think from this point of view, like George Soros. I mean, he's just an investor and he has particular way of promoting his philosophies and everything, and he got open democracy to that. But then the same organization is now attacking different institutions and individuals and people. I mean, if you go attacking people, these attacks can come back to you also at some particular point when your friends are not in power as they are today. I mean, politics, time is the ultimate power. I mean, Chris, you have seen Indian politics, man. I mean, you have seen what Modi was and what Modi is, and I mean, there are like plenty of things like this. So I don't mind. And you cannot just get rid of this image. It is what it is. And if we are investor in Palantir, we have to live with it. I mean, we can say a lot of things, but there is always going to be drag because of it. So yeah, it is. I mean,
the pendulum always swings. The pendulum always swings, whether it's right or it's left. The best place to be is right in that middle, So, yeah.
Palantir did release an article this week, basically saying, "Hey, we're not a spy company. We're not a." And this is like they've released multiple articles over the past couple of months explaining that they're not a spy company. The problem is I don't know who's reading their 5-minute long blog, right?
I have a
if
challenge for you.
Palantir is spying on companies and people, Alex Carr would be behind jail. So even people who are saying that Palantir is spying, even they, I mean, if you know you have the billions of dollars, you are sponsoring NGOs and politicians in 50 different countries, can't you get a single piece of evidence to put Alex Carr behind the bar if Palantir is doing that?
That's
okay,
true.
so
I have a challenge.
Chris, what were you?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. What were you?
No, I have a challenge for Amit. Say Palantir is not a spy company 10,000 times on the live stream.
That would get some views. It would get more views than their article. That's for sure.